Hey, what's up, guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. I was super pumped to be on Ground Zero last night with Clyde Lewis. It went really well. Had a great time. It was me and Scott Rickard. I hadn't heard of Scott Rickard before, but he was very knowledgeable in a lot of the stuff going on, especially the history. They talked Project Gladio, which if you don't know what Gladio is, you really need to get up to speed because it really does outline the whole Middle East, terrorism and everything happening over there in Europe. And the one thing I will say, though, is that being a nationally syndicated show, there's a lot of commercial breaks. And because I was a co-guest, I really didn't have time to elaborate on stuff, which is fine. I understand that's sort of the format of the live nationally syndicated radio. So I'm just used to having, my own YouTube channel where I can rant and ramble on forever, and a podcast with no commercial breaks or whatever. So if I ever need to rant and ramble, I can do that as well. But in any case, it was really fun. I'm going to post the audio of the entire episode, which is a little under 2 hours, on the YouTube channel, and that'll be posted a little bit later today. But for this video, I just wanted to read some of the comments that I received that I thought were pretty good, and the ones I want to send a copy of Chris White's book, False Christ: Will the Antichrist Claim to be the Jewish Messiah? And I actually picked 4 of them, and there were a lot of good comments, and I really appreciate everybody spending the time and the thought to really come up with good answers, meaningful answers, and I really do appreciate that. So don't feel bad if I didn't pick your comment. There were over 600 comments, so I had to really kind of wade through them. It took me a few hours to get through all of it, but these are the ones that really jumped out at me, and so these are the ones that I'm going to read. First off, Jose B. said this: "Hey Gons, I do have an interesting idea for a 1-hour talk on the attack on the family, which is incorporated with the death of manhood. I got this idea from watching one of Paul Washer's videos, and it's titled The Death of Manhood, Paul Washer. Paul brings up some very interesting points on how the world no longer has real men, and he even mentions the secular world, saying that there aren't that many men in America. We have men that still play video games, men that don't raise their children in the word, and there are many families without fathers." Sorry, I'm not really good at throwing out a well thought out response at this time, but if you would watch Paul's video, you will have all the references you need for a video about the attack on the family / death of manhood. Anyways, keep up the good work, and looking forward to episode 100. Thanks, Jose. I want to send you a copy of the book. I appreciate this response because I think it's a really good topic. The death of manhood, in a sense, not in a chauvinistic way, but to show that the family structure, especially the biblical model of the family, of the man's role and the woman's role, it's not oppressive. It's actually supposed to be a functioning unit. And I do think with the move of the last 50, 60 years, with the social rights movement, with the women's rights movement, and look, I do think women need to have rights, obviously, but you also have to understand that some of that movement was hijacked by the New World Order system. It was used to get women into the workforce because all the men were going to war, right? And to empower women on one hand, but on the other hand, to, number one, destroy the family unit, but number two, to exploit women as they enter the workforce. And the whole thing ties into eugenics as well. And so it's a pretty deep conspiracy rabbit hole that we can go into with the death of manhood. It's a really good topic. And, I know I've heard other conspiracy analysts talk about how men have been systematically demasculated in culture and society to move more towards a androgynous world where men and women are no longer bound to their gender. And this ties into the transhumanist agenda. And I've talked about this in a couple of videos already. But yeah, it's a really good topic. And I think it's something that needs to be talked about more, especially in the biblical worldview. Now, I know that most churches and most Christian circles and stuff like that, they have men's meetings and they have programs and whatnot to, to supplement manhood. So I don't think there's a lack there. But in terms of a fuller historical understanding of what's happened to men, especially in America, that would be interesting to really dig into and really expose. So that's a really good topic. I thought it was something that is important, and I thought it was a good idea. The attack on the family. Good stuff, Jose B. So I appreciate that. That was the first comment that I picked. The second one, this one's from MorrowProduction. He said this: "I think we need a documentary that helps people with worldly discernment. As the world spins out of control, our moral fabrics and guidelines are being shredded. We need something super simple and heartfelt, but at the same time thought-provoking enough to make people ask the right questions about what they see going on in the world. There are so many people who can't discern what is wrong or right or blindly choose due to social hierarchy and expectations. There are so many young people growing up right now and they have no guidance. All they know is materialism and land race for money. And when they can't acquire either, they feel worthless. It's one of the devil's strongest tools for severing your relationship with God. So MorrowProduction, good comment, good topic, a documentary that helps people with worldly discernment. This is something I think I'm going to incorporate into the topic that I'm going to discuss, and I'll tell you what it is in a moment here. But very good overall. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Good observation. So there you have it. There's MorrowProduction. This is a third one here. And again, I actually picked 4, not 3. This one's from Dave Dom. He said, hey, it's a little weird that I'm not a religious person and I don't believe in any text God/Bible until I feel it personally. Yes, I guess I'm that pragmatic guy who only believes in what he actually knows. Yet people call me very peaceful and they are surprised to hear that I'm not a believer. I'm watching your vids and I love your theories, even if I don't agree with what religious people think. I'm genuinely interested in the topic of alien life outside our Earth though. And through my personal journey, I'm still not convinced that any theory that's out there is right. Like 80% of YouTubers do it for entertainment for money purposes. I know religious people think them as demons, and researchers think of them as real biological beings. But do we actually have any idea? What YouTube or any media source is saying is probably 99% bias. Either they are out of the earth biological beings or demons, or maybe none of those. And it's just pop culture created fantasy that people believe in blindly. Even though I'm 99% sure life is out there, thinking through pragmatic scientific way, I still cannot find any real evidence of it. All I know is either it's the biggest and most important topic in our human civilization, or it's a biggest fake pop culture entertainment bias. So Gons, I don't know if you find this topic as important as I find it, but stepping totally out of everything that our media states, or YouTubers state, or UFO researchers state, or even religious people state, what do you think about it? I mean, do we actually have any real evidence? Any real people that had real encounter sightings, real and honest facts that are still to be found for me? And yeah, I'd be very interested to see some very, very serious and as real as it gets documentary about what we actually know about aliens and sightings, and are they even real? Thanks. That was a wall of text, sadly. Sorry for that. It's okay. Dave, I appreciate the comment. And I picked this comment because, number one, there have been tons of documentaries or at least videos or topics that have talked about this. And Dave here sort of says that everything is biased, but everything is biased. You got to understand that even your comment here is bias, right? So there's no such thing as a unbiased view. Even films that are very down the middle of the road, very objective or non-biased, that even has a bias. If it resonates with people, I liked it because it was very objective. Well, you liked it because it was biased towards what you believe is objective. So again, there's no such thing as a totally unbiased view. But I do agree that there are different views here. And I actually, just to comment on the specifics of what he's talking about, yes, there are real people who have had real experiences, even having physical ramifications or, microchips. There's footage of L.A. Marzulli going into Dr. Roger Lear's office where he actually removed a microchip out of a guy's leg or something like that. So there's real stuff out there. Now, whether that's exactly alien, that's not 100% sure. But when it's something that is evasive like this, it's easy for people to shade their theories and bias. Now, I personally believe, and this is again my opinion, my bias, if you will, that with this alien topic, he asked if they were just demons or if they're biological beings. And the presupposition to that comment is that, one, they're demons, which means they don't have any physicality, or two, they're real biological beings, which I think Dave here means is that they evolved on another planet with the same process of evolution that we are taught that we came from, which isn't necessarily 100% verifiable either. And so that's sort of the bias that you're working off of, right? The two trajectories there. But I would say that it's a little bit of both. Not that evolution is true, but more so that they are probably demonic, but that doesn't mean that they are non-biological. They may reside in a spiritual realm, so to speak, but they can manifest in the physical realm and even appear to be biological in nature. And, so there's lots of different views. There's lots of nuances here. It's not just one or the other or neither. The phenomenon is real. UFO sightings, alien abductions, the phenomenon is just, it happens to so many people, incredible people. You can't just dismiss the crazy guy from, some small town or whatever. You have police officers that see these things that report it, pilots, military, government, all kinds of official people have documented and have reported UFO sightings, alien abduction phenomenons, strange phenomenon with meeting creatures and things like that. So it's real. The phenomenon is real. You got to dig a little more, Dave. That's all I got to say on that topic. But even this is going to be addressed in some way, one way or another, I think, in the topic I want to tackle for my film. And the one comment that really drives home what I want to talk about is by Richard. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his last name. Here's what Richard said. Here's a two-part problem that I struggle with and have been for more than 40 years, Gons. Number one, where is the supernatural in Christianity? Dr. Heiser writes about it, as does Chris Putnam. It's almost as if Christianity has lost the supernatural and been reduced to doctrine, history, stories, music, and entertainment. The supernatural power that the Apostle Paul writes about, the gospel, is not in clever words, but in power. That was his test for authenticity. The mighty rushing wind and the whole place shaken in great and mighty works instead of dead, powerless nonsense. Number two, will there be a third great awakening? Some believe yes and others no. I mean, will we ever see that church, body of Christ believers, as they were in the Acts? Second chapter specifically. Will Christians again heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons? Will these signs follow those that believe? They shall lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. Will there be believers that, like Peter says, rise and walk, Aeneas, Jesus heals you, get up and make your bed, Tabitha, arise, resulting in many of the hardened council believing, Lydda and Sharon all coming to the Lord, many of Joppa turning to the Lord? That's my two-part problem that's really related into one when combined. Well, Richard, this really got me thinking, and I was already moving sort of in this direction, but I really want to make a mini documentary, probably hour and a half, about supernaturalism. And actually, between Chris Putnam's book, The Supernatural Worldview, and Dr. Heiser's Unseen Realm, he also has a book called Supernatural for the more scholarly, and a couple of books from a friend of mine, Josh Peck, The Quantum Creation, and Dan Duvall, Higher Dimensions. Between those four books and those four people that I consider friends, I think I can make a really good documentary about the supernaturalism, the higher dimensions, the place where science and spirituality meet, biblically speaking, and it can address almost all these topics that were brought up here. It would kind of be the gateway documentary for people that are new to this, that are Christians, that go to church every Sunday, they pray, whatever, but they're not accessing these higher dimensions, if you will, of our existence, which the Bible is clearly talking about. Not just us apart from this dimension, but us as part of it, as being saved and being born again. There's some very good implications there that we exist in a multiple dimensional facet. And the Bible even talks about that. And Paul, went to the third heaven, not sharing his body and things like that. So I think this is something that is really important to talk about. And it will address topics like aliens. It will address topics like discernment. It will address topics like manhood, because it will help ground what is going on spiritually into our physical world. Our world is three-dimensional, but we sort of operate with 2 and 3 dimensions. I'm reading Dan Duvall's book, which I actually made the cover for. It's called Higher Dimensions. And he talks about in the book that although we are three-dimensional in being, we don't access all 3 dimensions in terms of being able to, let's say, see something. Let's say someone's standing in front of me. That person is 3-dimensional, but my eyes only see in 2 dimensions because I can't see the person's face and the back of their head at the same time, right? Unless there's a mirror or something. But from the higher dimensions, from the 4th dimension, presumably something that is 3D can be seen from all angles, just like we can see a 2-dimensional object written on a piece of paper from all angles. So I think this would be a very good topic to synthesize science, but also to help the church realize that they have power in Christ that they are not accessing. And I think it goes into the book of Acts and some of the miracles that were happening there. And it goes into spiritual warfare. And I think it'll be a great primer, a gateway documentary, if you want to call it that, to all kinds of topics like transhumanism, UFOs, aliens, angels, demons, gods, goddesses. And I think between Chris Putnam's book, The Supernatural Worldview, Dr. Heiser's Unseen Realm, and Josh Peck's Quantum Creation, Dan Duvall's Higher Dimensions, I could put something together that will be pretty powerful. Now, the problem here is that it's going to cost a little bit of money to make that. And I want to make it so it's actually like a professional documentary. I don't want to do just like a Skype video conversation for it or whatever. I want it to be something that can be a little bit more produced and whatnot. And so I might need some help with that. And I'm not going to make any conclusions about that now. I'm going to actually go through and write the script and do all that first and see if I can just do it on my own dime. And with the help that I do get a little bit of help from you guys. Some of you guys have gifted $20 here, $30 there. I really appreciate that. But if I'm going to get sit-down interviews with these authors in a professional way, good lighting, good cameras, all that stuff, good audio, it might cost a little bit more to travel or to hire some videographers to go to these locations or in those locations to conduct the interview and stuff like that. But the cool thing is, again, because of the YouTube platform, this film that I'm going to work on, this documentary, mini documentary, whatever you want to call it, is going to be available for free to watch right here on this YouTube channel. And all the content that I've ever produced, from blog posts to documentaries to videos or whatever, they've all been free. The only thing that hasn't been free, I guess, is INHUMAN, but that's not my film. I just worked on it as the executive director and editor of the film, which, by the way, comes out today. So if you want to go purchase that DVD, go to SkyWATCHTV.com and you can purchase that, and you'll get a bunch of books and audio and other DVDs and stuff like that. It's a huge package giveaway thing that Tom Horn is doing over there. But I know there's some videos out there criticizing me about, like, oh my gosh, this guy has a support button, and he's monetized his videos and he's just money mongering, whatever. Well, yes, I do monetize my videos so that I can make money through AdSense. And let me tell you guys, I'm getting ridiculously rich over here. I'm just banking in, raking in the cash. No, I'm not. Okay. It's to support my family. It's to keep food on the table for my daughter and my wife, and have a place to live, this small little apartment. In fact, if you guys saw, actually, I'm going to show you guys a picture of my office. Okay. My office is a closet. All right. It's not even a full desk. I don't even have like a desk. I have a little closet that I stand and do this work. Okay. And I'm showing you the picture now. This is what I have. This is a space that I use to work. Okay. I had no elaborate studio or anything like that. So guys, there's people out there that definitely do things just for money. I'm not one of them. I'm not doing this just for money, okay? I do this because it's a passion of mine, and I feel blessed to be able to do this, essentially to make a living right now anyway. We don't know what's going to happen with the internet, with YouTube, whatever. It might go away, which is fine. When that happens, I'll move on to something else to support the family. But right now, I've been given this opportunity, and I feel blessed about it, and I really appreciate all you guys who subscribe and watch these videos and share them and comment on them. And so it's really wonderful for me to be able to do this on a daily basis. So I don't take it for granted at all, okay? And by the way, I'm not going to even link to this video that's talking about how I have this support button on my YouTube channel, which I do. I have this like little support thing on the actual channel. Well, guess how much money I've made from that button? Zero. Nobody has given me anything on that button, so I don't think it's working. Anyway, besides all that stuff, point is, I'm going to be working on the documentary. I'm going to start working on the script for the documentary, and I'll keep you guys posted on all that. Later today, not too long from now, I will post the audio of Ground Zero. I think I'm going to post the whole episode. It's about 1 hour and 50 minutes without the commercials and everything. I'll try to put some interesting images on the audio to, so there's something to look at least. And that's it, guys. So again, I appreciate everybody watching this video. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, please do. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the encouraging words you guys give me all the time. And even the people, the haters out there, people that think that I'm just a shill or think that I'm just a money-craving, Gnostic, heretic person. Guess what? Love you too. You know why? Because Jesus told us to love our enemy. And I don't even consider some of you guys, especially those Christians out there criticizing me, I don't consider you guys enemies. You guys are doing what you feel called to do. I may disagree with you wholeheartedly at your method or what you're saying about me personally and whatnot, but hey, what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and make a rebuttal video of everything you guys say or try to come after you guys in any way. I'm secure in my own faith and in what I'm doing and what I'm working towards, which is not for me. I'm not doing this just so I can make money or just so I can be a voice on YouTube or whatever. Ultimately, I'm doing all this for the Lord. I'm doing it for the glory of Jesus Christ, period. All that other stuff is just gravy for me, and it's a blessing. So hope you guys have an awesome day. God bless.